So just reminding everyone, we use WhatsApp as a means of communication. You can send your questions to that number that appears in the comments, and it comes directly to me. Okay. How can perfection be achieved on the path of truth? I have to achieve perfection in the teacher. What to do to raise the level of remember, spiritual life and physical life? Which practice will have to be done to increase spiritual life and physical level? What is Guru called and what is the duty towards the disciple of Guru? Okay, so how can perfection be achieved on the path of truth? I have to achieve perfection in the teacher. Well, this is an interesting question. And in this question, there is the fundamental of the relationship between the Guru and his disciple, and vice versa. It is achieving perfection in the Guru. What does this mean? It means to tune yourself with the Guru. First, you need to know what the Guru is. And the Guru is not what you can perceive with your physical senses, neither with your astral senses. None of this is the Guru. So the Guru is the living expression of God for you. If you're in the quest for truth, if you're in the quest of the divine, this should be your look. Because, well, devotion to God is good, but at the level of the character, it doesn't help much because the personified form is missing. And what does this do? Well, let's look at the psychological aspect. I've seen seekers from all stages, all levels, and with different levels of pride and arrogance saying, oh, I surrender to God, God only. Of course, that is easy. Well, something as big as God that doesn't have a personified form in front of you, there's no clashing, no ego clashing. So you can fit. It's like even if your ego is an elephant, the vision of God is a huge, enormous tree that can fit one elephant, 50 elephants there. But when you have the personified form of God, that which you call the Guru, it will not be that easy because, well, the tree is big, but you cannot perceive it as big. Not as big as God, of course. And in this relationship, you'll be confronted continuously, lively, in a real manner, with these two choices. Either you embrace your negativities, or you embrace more and more God, the divine. Either you believe that you are on the quest for truth, in the quest for the divine, and the divine is guiding, and you have reached your Guru through divine guidance, and it is that divine manifestation which is guiding there, or you don't. And it's all just hogwash. It's nothing. Either or, no middle terms. For the seeker of truth, there's no middle grounds, no middle terms. And at all moments, you need to understand this. This is very important. You are your biggest obstacle, if not the only obstacle. And at the same time that you are sincere, you're not. At the same time that you do the biggest efforts to follow in the quest for truth, you're making the biggest efforts to stop that quest, to make it dead, to keep it in your control. Because if you're not aware of this, you cannot go far. So when you're in contact with the personification of the divine which is guiding you, you will have these two choices. Either take it as divine, or then it is meaningless, it is pointless. No need to be there. There's no guidance. And into this contact, all the impurities of your mind will come. And either you embrace them, or you embrace the divine, the vision that, no, this is divine guidance. Either or. Because doing a little bit of both is nothing. Because if you trust sometimes and distrust other times, then there's no trust. Either or. Then this achieving perfection in the Guru, what does this mean? What is the meaning of this? It means tuning completely everything, taking from the reach of the character and tuning it to the Guru. In mind, even in breath, in speech, in will, everything. Until all is surrender, until there's nothing in your hands. This is achieving perfection in the Guru. And as you're tuning and tuning, there will be no more room for this character. So that is the perfection. It's not about, there's this idea sometimes seekers have, that I'll just do anything that the Guru says, and like that it will work. Well, that is important to do what is told, but that's not the point. The point is tuning. It is so intimate that it is about doing what is expected without even being said so. And for that, the concentration must be very big. Love has to be big. Because it is love which allows that to happen. And love is the translation of perfection also. A love that unites, not a love that keeps separateness for love's sake, but a love that merges. Not with the body, not with the person. When you look at your Guru, your eyes are giving you a feedback. Your mind is giving you a feedback, analysis, this, that, this, that. You have to look at as you are looking through the body, connecting to the divine. The eyes will trick you. The senses will trick you. And you're not supposed to bring the Guru to your world. It's inevitable to a certain extent, but not healthy in the long term. You need to go to the Guru. Rise to him, not lowering him down to you. And this is what the senses are doing. The Guru is there. That body, that person. No. The eyes always look beyond. This is what they are looking. The form of the formless. And in this interaction, there's only one point for this interaction, which is dissolution of the character. So the purpose of all engagements is this. Whatever the Guru is telling you to do is for you to get rid of yourself. No other thing is there. So achieving that perfection is the level of attunement you establish with your Guru. Then, what to do to raise the level of remember? Okay, this is probably Google Translator. What to do to raise the level to remember spiritual life from physical life, probably. Which practice will have to be done to increase spiritual life at physical level? So when the thirst is intense, I've talked about the thirst for truth in the previous video. And let me make a little distinction before I go on. There is the thirst for truth and the greed for truth. They are not necessarily the same. Well, sometimes, many times, it starts with the greed for truth, then it evolves to the thirst for truth. The difference is the thirst, it's like like you're very thirsty and you jump into the lake to refresh yourself to get water. In this case, that would be about dissolution in the water, but it's an example. And the greed for water would be to come close to the water and take the water out of the pond and take it to yourself. So the greed for truth is you're in command and you're seeing everything, the Guru, people, whatever is around you, as a tool, as a means to your achievement. And this will have to evolve. We'll have to break these limitations because, well, you are the limitation. And as you are in control, nothing much can. There's a limit, a certain extent where things can go. So the thirst for truth is different, as an example, from the greed for truth. In the thirst for truth, when guidance is recognized, for example, losing it, it's like losing oxygen itself. In the greed for truth, losing guidance, well, it's just a misfortune, of course, but something else will come. It was a tool. I lost a tool, I can get another tool. So there's no real recognition of guidance, just tools. So the most important element is missing, which is sacredness. And without sacredness, there's no guidance. Even if the interaction is there from the guru to the supposed disciple, there's no guidance. So when the thirst is strong, these questions of remembering in physical life, the spiritual life, they don't exist because, well, there's nothing left but that life. I'm using every breath of the body towards freedom. There's nothing else. If you still need to remind yourself, means, well, a lot of distractions are still there. A lot of distractions are still there. There's not the vision yet that freedom is the only goal to achieve. It's the only thing which is real. There's distraction with a lot of other investments, still with circumstantial happiness. What is Guru called and what is the duty towards the disciple of Guru? Well, I'm not sure about this question, what it means. Because, well, it's from India and their grammar is different. They put the sentence in a different way. But I'll take it as it comes. So what is the duty of the Guru towards the disciple? Well, from the disciple's point of view, there's no duties from the Guru. Why am I saying this? Because this is very important. These days, one of the biggest obstacles, that which has weakened to a very big extent the disciples, is the level of self-importance, what I call the VIP complex. And seekers walk through doors for satsang, for example, with a lot of expectations, analysis, evaluations, this and that, and no reverence. Full of expectations that when they speak, they need to be received in a very loving way and this and that. So much weakness, so much fragility, so much fragility. If you really want to stand a chance, understand this. This is your interest only. No one, not even the Guru, has to take care of your own interests. You take care of them. With this mindset, then you have a chance. Okay, another question. I try always my best, but not successful in divine life. What do I do? Well, failure is something that really doesn't exist in the spiritual life. There is quitting, there is distraction, there is not going enough. And understand that going enough, it's not a comparison with anyone else. It's always your limits and your obstacles. So others may be doing what is visible at 30, for example, of intensity, and you're doing 200. But if your limit is 300, your 200 will be the same as their 30, or even less, depending if they're going at all with their 30. It will be better than your 200 because it's about your limitations, not about anyone else. So failure doesn't exist. What exists is not enough effort, distraction, quitting, not pursuing it enough. This is what exists. And the absence of sacredness, real sacredness. Because if you make the quest for truth the only goal in your life, you know what you have to cut. Everything which distracts your focus and concentration in the divine has to be put aside. These are general terms. Then there's specifics, but let's keep it general. And there's intensity. Intensity is, for all, a key factor. If you're doing your meditation 1 hour, 2 hours a day, and then you're taking care of your life, the body's life, the worldly life, what can you achieve? Nothing can be achieved like this. Frustration, maybe. But if you start meditating, using the time you have available, to meditate as much as you can, something will start happening. Life will start emerging, and then you have to hold on to it. And in your practice, to pray for guidance, to be blessed by the presence of the Guru, of your Guru, not any Guru, yours alone. And that only your inner direction will point. It's not the mind that will say, oh, this looks good, I like this conversation. This is nothing. The mind is anti-self-realization. Your ideas are there to distract you only. So if you're not putting enough intensity, it doesn't matter if you're making more effort than others that you know that are around you. But if you're not putting enough intensity compared to what you could if your life depended on it, then what can happen? And without guidance, it cannot go far also. It goes and goes and goes, but just movement. So for the beginner, first stage is guidance. So you pick up a meditation technique and you practice intensely. Or mantra, for example, but still with the sitting posture, the correct sitting posture. And do it as much as you can. You can do 2 hours, go for 2 hours at a time at a sitting. And do as much sittings as you can. If you can just take 1 hour, then do it 1 hour, but do it many times, as much as you can. Be as close as possible with your limits. Whatever limits are there, either physical, mental, emotional, doesn't matter. Be always in the edge. This is how it gains life. If you're not in the edge, in your comfort zone, oh, I'll do a little bit today and I'll push a little bit, but then I relax, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So there's no failure. There's absence of effort. There's quitting. There's a lot of things. Failure, no. The one who practices intensely, who is completely devoted, who makes the quest for truth the center of his life, who prays for guidance with his effort, with his constant effort, being in the edge of his limits, it's for this one that the magic reveals itself. And then when magic reveals itself, the greedy says, oh, here it is, tries to catch it. Eventually it disappears. Eventually there are some exceptions. When it is a hard-headed, stubborn one, sometimes it doesn't disappear. It stays there, but it doesn't increase. It just makes a presence there so that that stubborn head doesn't forget it. Like the carrot in front of the donkey, but for good purposes. But these are exceptions. Usually it disappears, and this frustration helps to transform motivations. Helps to move and push forward, to own obstacles to the mental impurities. So if you're not being successful, you're not trying enough, you haven't found your path, because it is cold. The level of effort needs to increase by far. Then you'll see there's no failure. So, another question, Sejal Ratod, I think. Sorry if my pronunciation is not good enough. How can one attain sacredness to reach to a guru? That level of sacredness, well, gurus can come in many ways, many forms, and in different circumstances. Sometimes it's by destiny, and it appears without you being ready. So you have to be attentive, because it's even more difficult, because if it appears without you being ready, possibly you will disrespect that blessing and then confusion will come. But not waiting for destiny to do its role. The seeker of truth works hard. The practice of intense meditation, selfless work, all these purification activities and praying to the Guru, calling for the Guru, chanting mantras for the Guru, intensifying the devotion, the request. This will enhance that devotion, will purify. And depending on each seeker, they can need more or less, but eventually guidance will come, the Guru will appear. Then recognizing it may be easy or may be difficult. That depends on what are your difficulties. But the key is, the more the seeker opens his physical eyes, the less he can see. The more he closes the physical eyes, the more he can see. He has to learn to see from his heart. But understand that this is not poetry. First, the heart needs purification. The mind needs purification, needs work. Or else it will just fluctuate. And your heart needs to be in service of freedom. If it isn't yet, the signs will be very different, not aligned with the quest for truth. So the heart is a compass that needs to be realigned. So purification of the body, purification of the mind. This is the key. And intensifying your devotion, calling for the Guru, calling for that guidance. And that thirst has to be intense, or else there's not even a purpose. A teacher is more easy to find. A guru, it's more difficult. It has to be alive. Either it can appear, you won't recognize it, or you think you recognize it, but for the wrong reasons. Then as tests are coming, then you fall down. So the work has to continue. The intensity of the work has to continue. This is always the key. And whatever you're perceiving through your physical senses, it's usually not reliable. So the more you close your eyes, the more you see. The more you open your eyes, the less you see. These are instruments for physicality, for this illusion. But it's easier, accessible, apparently. I will answer your question now. Hello, Shrima. A very simple question I have not yet understood. How can I express my devotion to God? Thank you. Well, how would you express your devotion and your love to someone else? Opening all the channels of your heart to express it. Speaking, chanting, embracing. Simple, natural. The more you express it, you can express it directly, you can speak to God at every moment. You can direct your love to it. You can write Him. You can do anything with God. Anything. As an expression of your love. Anything. There's no limitations. It is a simple question. Nothing else to say about it because, well, it really is simple. Anything, you can do anything with God. If your love is pure, or at least if those motivations connecting to that is pure, it will be received. Everybody has its own Dharma. God has its Dharma also, and his Dharma is love. When love is pure, God has to come. Or better yet, when love is pure, God can be recognized. Okay. So, more questions? Okay. So next satsang will be Wednesday, 9 a.m. in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Until then, well, make your time count.